Okay, Mrs. Zoom says that we are recording, and we are with my buddy Jim Chester, who is the god when it comes to all things podcasting. He also knows a thing or two about marketing with flair and personality and not being old school, maybe even having a fine balance between old school and new school. So Jim, please say hello to the Staffless Practice community.
Staffless Practice community. Hi.
I think what I love most about Jim, guys, besides his buffness, is he has a really great sense of humor. And it's hard to, just stop, Jim. You're distracting me. It's hard to know sometimes if he's kidding or not, but if you are questioning if it's a joke, assume that it is. So let's start with podcasting. And we're talking to a group of brilliant wellness practitioners who either don't have staff, don't want to have staff, or have staff, and they want their staff to only do what they're really good at doing. And most of the wellness practitioners in our community also want to grow their practice in a joy-filled way. And so talk to me about a podcast. Where does a podcast fit in? Is it a waste of time? Is it a great use of time? What do we need to know?
So I think that this is a really good introduction. First of all, hey guys, thanks for listening today. I think that that's really important to acknowledge you guys, because you guys are the ones that are benefiting from this. And thanks, Jodi. Yeah, you're right. People do not know when I'm joking, because I have like this like really dry sense of humor.
The glasses. And can I have that hat?
I'll get you one.
You promise you'll get me one?
I'll bring it to Mile High.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mile High, name drop. There it is.
So podcasting, is it a waste of time? Is it worth the investment? Is it worth the concentration and all the things that go along with it? Yes, it is. We're at episode 371 of our show, Chiro Hustle. And I think it's great because when you do a podcast, you actually get enmeshment into a community, and you can go hyper focused, and you can get down to the macro of what you want to do. And I work in chiropractic space, and I know all of you guys aren't chiropractors, but what I decided to do is, if I wanted to have like the biggest party in the world for chiropractors, I could do one-on-one meetings. And now we have the biggest chiropractic party platform in the world, which is our podcast. And the North Star is 1,000 shows. So that means I get personal relationships with 1,000 people.
What do you mean the North Star is 1,000 shows? What does that mean?
Well, we all create our North Stars of like where we want to go. Like, what is our like moonshot? What is, Les Brown says this, if you shoot for the moon and you miss it, at least you land in the stars. And
I think he totally just changed that quote.
Did I mess that up?
If you shoot for the moon, you might just land on the stars.
Yeah, that's it.
That was totally it.
Yeah.
So 1,000
shows.
Yeah. Is that your North Star, or is
that's mine?
Okay. And where are you at? You're at 300?
371. Yeah. And
how long have you been doing it?
4 years.
4 years. So what do we need to think about with, okay, we have a mix of all kinds of technologically challenged spectrums in this group, right? Some people would just put me in the dust, and some people, yesterday, honest to God, you guys, I swear this happened. We did an interview. I'm telling you the irony of me trying to find a virtual assistant. It's perfect for running Staffless Practice. We did an interview with somebody. Okay. We told them that part of the interview process was going to be screen sharing in Zoom. Okay. So that we could see what their skills were like. She spent 10 minutes trying to screen share her phone. I'm not kidding you. This is the kind of stuff this is what we see. The world is technologically based now, and some of us have not caught up. So how much do we need to know? And Ike Volt, like, it hurt. Okay. Let me just say that. Okay. I'll switch gears. What do we need to know to run a really good podcast? What are the bare minimums? What do we do?
Well, first of all, I think this is an awesome chat today. I'm definitely not going to monologue your people. But
what an interesting concept.
I know, right? I've never heard that happens on my show either. So while conversing with you, I think the really fun thing to do about podcasting is you get to build a local community. Like mine's globally, but if I would recommend like a solopreneur, which I think you deal with a lot of, is I would have them. Have you ever heard of the Dream 100?
I have heard of it. I'm not sure what it
Okay.
is. I couldn't write
So
a book.
I'll just give these people like something really actionable is take a piece of paper right now and start writing down the 100 people within 7 miles of your office that you do business with, that you like their business, that are local, that get a lot of traffic, like the most popular places in your town, 7 miles from your office, write them all down
Why 7 miles?
because that's your target audience. That's your
No,
local niche market. And those
so
are the
what
people that are going to travel to your place of practice to get your services.
we call the Dream 100 pals, Practice Alliance leads, which turn into
Okay,
Practice Alliance loves. And
perfect.
they're already speaking to your ideal clients. So we're saying the
Mhm.
same thing, right? So
Yep.
what about your Dream 100? How does that tie into a podcast?
Well, now you bring them on and interview them
Right.
and you host them local in your community and you call them spotlight interviews and you do 20 to 30 minutes where you talk about that person's business. And it's kind of like a BNI meeting or a young professionals network meeting, one-on-one, talking about edifying their business to an audience. Not only is that really cool that you build your network, now you become the referable professional in your community because they're top of mind. They're going to think of you if anybody has a chiropractic need or a health professional service need. They're
You're
going to
the
be like,
person.
oh, yeah,
They
Jodi was
become your
awesome.
pal. And you know what, you
Yeah.
guys, shameless plug. Here we go. This happens to be the Joy Filled Practice Plan. This is all of the ideas and concepts and checklists and flyers and you name it to nourish and nurture those relationships. So it's really important. Like if you're new in practice, this is all you should be doing is establishing your top 100. I could not agree more. And you could literally build a practice by starting a podcast, right?
I just, the other reason it works is because these people feel special. And when you recognize people and you do it with a serious flair and like it's heartfelt, like people feel that. And then what they're going to do is they're going to share it with the people that are patrons to their business. They're going to share with their friends, their families, their kids, their colleagues. And the next thing that happens, this is the really cool thing, is they're going to share the YouTube link. They'll share the poll quote image that you give them. They'll share the audios with people.
There it is.
And then at the end of this, here's the hook is you let them throw an offer out there. And if they want to, they can plug like a promotion for the month. They can plug a discount for your audience and listeners. And then you can say, by the way, if you want to see the awesomest healthcare provider in this area, here's our offer too. Come by and see us. This is our location. So you're getting this to be a marketing tool for you, plus a spotlight, plus an edification, plus a share session. Like the whole thing just becomes like it's an anchor for marketing, and everything can be built off this. You can pull micro content out of it and put it on your reels. You can put it on your Snap, whatever people are doing this day and age. You can put it on their TikTok. You can make 30-second little pull out session like clips of video or audio and put that to your social medias. I mean, you can repurpose the heck out of this thing. So that's why I think podcasting is so powerful, is it builds real relationships.
I want to come up with a list of everything that you just said. Like I might just do that because I happen to be a list lover. So let's go to the next question.
Yeah.
This
Was
is
was
good.
that was that helpful?
Yeah, it was super. It's helpful because, I think one of the things that gets dropped often when we're introduced to new concepts is the context of the concept. So here's a podcast. Here's what you can do with it. Here's why you want to consider it. Let's go to the how of it. So what do people need to consider when they're putting together a podcast program? What are the bare bones of the program? Do they just need like a cell phone and like what do they need? What do they need to get?
There's an old saying, you only get one time to make a first impression. So don't suck.
Don't
Um,
suck.
yeah. I mean, get good gear. You
Right.
don't have, I mean, budget yourself $2,000. If you can't do that right now, then don't start a podcast.
Okay, so I have like this fancy Razer microphone. I don't know that it does anything. Like, I don't know if
It makes it sound better.
It really does.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, think about podcasting. What is it, Jodi?
It's
Most of the
sharing.
time, it's an audio file.
Oh, I was
So
on the spot there.
we might want to
It's an
consider why
audio file.
we might want to consider why sound quality is so
Right, I
important,
get it.
because
Got
that's how people are like digesting that content. I
And
would
if
also
the
say,
sound quality sucks, but if I'm interviewing you and you've got like the cheapest microphone from the five and dime shop down the street, does it make my, is it a scratch on my podcast, or is it a scratch on you and your preparation for the podcast?
well, you can't expect everybody to be on your level. But there are instructions I give to people to make sure that their sound quality, that they're in the environment is controlled, that they have headphones on so we're not getting feedback. So you can do a little bit to prep your guest to make it less crummy sound. But I think that the host should definitely sound good, because that's your bread and butter.
Right. And I think that list needs to be in soup school. If you guys don't know, we have an entire school for online school for wellness practitioners. It's kind of like a finishing school to learn all of the things that you never learned in school, right? And one of the things that Jim and I are playing with, and by the time you listen to this, it might have just happened already, is putting a podcast course within Soup School. What I do is I go find the people who are so much better than I am at what they do, and I interview them and put their stuff in school, all in the name of running a practice without staff. If you want more information about that, go to stafflesspractice.com and check it out. So let's move on. Thank you. I like it a lot too. I just want to see what else I want to know about. What should you not do when you're trying to build your practice? What do you just not want to do at all, besides having cheesy microphones?
Yeah, and invest in yourself. I think, what not to do. Immerse yourself in technology so much that you don't pay attention to the people in front of you.
Right. Give me an example.
I think people need to partition time for like interaction on their socials. There's a time to serve, there's a time to scroll, there's a
Right.
time to be present with people. And you do a really good job with this. A lot of people are poor at their time partitioning, but like make a set time where you do notes, make a set time where you do your posting. The more that you control your day, the less it controls you.
Oh God, I say it again, Jim. The more that you control the day, the less
it controls you.
It's so good.
And if you don't plan your exercise, if you don't meal prep, if you don't make sure you're drinking water consistently throughout the day, and schedule times to have phone calls and schedule times to have dinners, like, you just got to get structure. So I would say don't go into business with an idea that you don't have to have structure. And I would say know when to partition your time to work on social media and to set up calls and things like that.
What do you do to work on social media? What does that look like?
I don't know, if you have a podcast, you're going to do interviews.
So a podcast is social media, excuse my ignorance.
Yeah.
Because it's social and it's media.
And what you're doing is right now you're doing a live inside of your Facebook group.
I'm doing so much in this moment. This moment is going to be so overly duplicated. It's not even funny. If you guys want, I have a really great course called Time Mapping, and it's all about creating the structure of your life, creating your schedule for your life and your ideal. And that's totally free for you at stafflesspractice.com/time.
Is it a checklist too?
It's everything. It's got all of it. No, one up on a checklist. It's an entire spreadsheet. Like, it's all of the things.
Wow. So yeah, this will help. They like what I'm saying, like matches directly with what you're implementing.
So as far as implementing is concerned,
controlling the day.
Give me, did I mention that the sun's out? Give me some tips on balance between old school and new school? Where's the fine line?
Yeah,
There is
well,
one.
I love sales. Um, I didn't know that like early on in my chiropractic career 13 years ago. I actually didn't like it. I'm like, why do I got to go out and do this dumbass screening? Why do I have to join this chamber group? Why do I have to go join a young professionals network group? Why do I have to go to another screening? Why do I have to show up at 6 o'clock to eat breakfast with all these business owners? Like that stuff, I didn't like it. But as I got to be a bit more mature, I realized how important it was to have that connection and to go out and do the work and to show up and learn how to do sales.
You'd be the
Um,
person in BNI that I take a straw and I blow the paper snot balls at. Honestly, I always had a buddy, and we made BNI work together. Okay, keep going. I'm listening.
but that's old school marketing. And I
Right.
think that I always tell people the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Hmm.
And it's so true. And to become like networked into your local community, I think it's super valuable to people. So old school marketing is human connection. And if you can do human connection, what spurs off of that? You got lunch events where you do lunch and learns. You got dinner with a doc where you can go talk to a group of people. If you have a system to do that, do that. I like screenings. I don't call them screenings anymore. I call them scheduling events. I've mastered the art of chiropractic salesmanship. And I think old school marketing has its place. Now, new school marketing, what is that? Well, there's a lot of platforms, there's reviews. You got all the socials, Instagram, Facebook. I think those are the big ones. And then you got YouTube. They all kind of like fight for positioning. TikTok's growing. I think actually TikTok has more minutes watched now than YouTube.
Oh,
Crazy.
wow.
Yeah, TikTok has now the king crown or the queen crown in attention for the socials, and they've passed YouTube. Could you believe that? Pretty powerful. Um, but yeah, when you think about like the ecosystems that you live on, and then you think about content creation and connecting with people in 2022, it's different than it was in, 2000 or 2010. Or, as we grow, there's different sources of how you do it. There used to be yellow pages. There used to be the killer ad. There used to be
Right.
things that people did that worked. Then people did Facebook ads, and then they're doing ads that go on Facebook and Instagram at the same time.
It's so funny because I didn't even, so for the Joy-Filled Practice Plan, things like Facebook ads, I didn't even consider that I would never do a Facebook ad for a chiropractic practice, for my practice, or it's just not within my wheelhouse, because so much of the marketing stuff is shaking hands and kissing babies. It's knowing at this point in my career, I'm where I want to be with my practice, and I don't do any marketing, and it's all referral, and I'm waitlisted. And that's my happy spot. It's because I've created and nourished those relationships with the pals over the years, so that I think the most important thing too is knowing what you do and knowing what you don't do, not being a jack of all trades or a Shelley of all trades. Because if you can only be really, really good at one thing, right? You can be a master of one craft. You can be pretty good at a lot of things, but you're the person for X, Y, and Z. I'm the person for before, during, and after babies in my town. Anybody talks about prenatal and pediatric chiropractic, they're talking about Jodi Dinnerman, because that's what I set out for. That's what I created for myself. So I think that if we can just even back up a minute before we even talk about PALs and top 100s, it's who are you and what do you do? If you're a chiropractor, are you really doing chiropractic, right? Are you using these guys? Are you educating about LACVS, locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation? I know that I'm kind of going off on a thing now,
I
but
like it.
that's true. Thank you. That's true with, if you're an herbalist, are you really doing, or are you working with top-notch products? Are you learning from top-notch people? Or are you trying to do a little bit of everything so that you can fit and maneuver and shapeshift for whoever walks into your office. The clearer I get in my practice of who I am and what I do and what I don't do, quite frankly, the more I enjoy my day, because I get to do what I love to do, which is LACVS all day long. If you're not a chiropractor or a chiropractic person, LACVS means locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation. That's chiropractic, right? That's the niche of chiropractic. That's what chiropractic was founded on. And there are people doing all kinds of stuff out there and calling it chiropractic. And if that's your jam, Godspeed to you. It's just not my jam. So I think my point is figure out what your jam is and then roll with it, right? And if your jam is adjusting with your nose and doing herbal sales with your toes and doing all of these things, then be really good at it. Be really good at what you do and be clear that that's what you do. This is what you don't do, but the guy down the street does do that. With that being said, how do people find you? Oh, go ahead, because we're going to wrap up in like 3 minutes.
What you're doing is telling people to set boundaries for how they want to practice.
Oh, there's that B word.
And if they don't do that, if they don't set like structure to how they want to practice, everybody else will dictate their practice for them.
Everybody, it's the same with time, the same with energy, the same with money, the same with food. You set your boundaries, right? And you be clear about it, especially with the universe. If that's, that's my belief system. Everybody's got their own.
Yeah. And I'll tell people this, if you want to create a pediatric practice, do that. If you want to be a PI doctor, do that. If you want to be a sports chiropractor, do that.
But own it, own what you want.
And if you don't do that, then you'll be a mixture of all of this. And that's where I was going to go before you shared the last bit of stuff. But a marketing portfolio, you got to diversify it, just like your investment portfolio. And you got to do things like you said, I am the referable person. Well, you know where you're at because of years of practice. But I do think that people have to have a marketing portfolio where they do some stuff on social media. They have to do some stuff with audio, some things with video as that part of it. But yeah, they have to go out to their community and meet people. They have to build personal local network as well, like you said. So
we talked about,
I approve what you said. I
appreciate your approval. And let me see if I can really quickly find the page. It's about the 4-point marketing plan, the marketing map for the successful practice. So
I just call it a portfolio.
It's going to look something like this, you guys. And again, this is the rough draft of my book. So it's broken up into celebrations and habits. Your celebrations are the events that you do, and the habits are the things that you do regularly, right? And you got inside stuff and outside stuff. So what are your practice celebrations and what are your practice habits? And if you don't plan for these things, they're not going to happen. You have to plan for these things. If you're new in practice, your celebrations outside in the community are going to be bigger than your celebrations inside of the office. Your habits inside of the office may be more focused on than your habits outside of the office. So this is going to change and shape shift as your practice grows.
And that system is just as valuable as people having accounting and bookkeeping and reconciliation. It's just a different part. It's just a different part. So you have to pay it the same attention as you would making money, because when you do that well, guess what? You'll pay more attention to your bank account because you'll be making more money.
Right. It all makes sense, dude. It all makes sense. How do people find you?
There's chirohustlepodcast.com. You can connect over there. It has all kinds of cool stuff over there. Bunch of interviews, bunch of free stuff. You can get our 2 documentaries, Chiropractic, the documentary, and Project Patient for free. Scroll to the bottom of that website, download them for free. I got marketing material over there for free. And I've been watching this guy named Alex Hermosi lately. And he says, my name is Alex Hermosi and I have nothing to sell you. And I really like that approach. My name's Jim Chester and I have nothing to sell you. I have everything.
I think you're just a hope dealer.
I have everything to give you. I have everything to give you. So people want to reach out to me, chirohustle.com, and find me on Facebook, send me a friend request, send me a direct message. I always respond.
And I'm Jodi Dinnerman, and I'm an expert mistake maker and solution creator. Oh, okay. So if somebody was to knock on your door and say, Jim, I heard about Dr. Jodi's soup school and the Staffless Practice success system, and I'm just not quite sure. I'm thinking about it, I'm just not sure, what would you say to them?
I'd tell them people still matter and human connection matters. And if you want to learn some strategies of how to do that more authentically, you should consider the soup school, because community is something that still is going to be highly important um, long term. And you teach people how to build an ecosystem of community, and you teach people how to nurture that community, and then you teach people how to set um, habits and traction for themselves in personal life, and they stay congruent with what they're doing. So I would say jump over and do that thing.
Thanks, Jim.